Hello, and welcome back to the Be a Better You podcast. I'm your host, Allison K. Dagney, your emotional empowerment coach. And today's episode is all about breaking free from the clutches of the comfort zone. So, if you want to feel comfortable, grab a cozy blanket, a cup of tea, or your favorite beverage, and let's dive into this, right? Because I'm taking you out of the comfort zone, so get comfortable. All right. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is understanding what the comfort zone actually is. So, you've heard it before. It's like a warm, fuzzy bubble where risks are avoided. Okay. The comfort zone is a place we feel safe, a place that we feel really cozy. We don't have to worry. We don't have to look at things that we don't want to look at. We don't have to deal with problems, right? We want to be in that zone, and there's a good reason why. And I'll go through that, but here's the kicker on this. Low risk equals low reward, right? So why are we settling for less? Why are we actually staying in the comfort zone? The comfort zone really, right, might feel safe on a lot of levels, but statistics show that it can actually be a silent killer, right? Things like contributing to overeating or drinking or smoking or a lot of other health related issues that come from that, right? And my goal here on the Be a Better You podcast is to help you be the best version of you that you can, right? So these are things that I have done for myself and things that I want to share with you. So I understand the comfort zone on a very, very intimate level because I have been in that comfort zone. I was actually in it for 17, well, probably 20 years while I was in my emotionally abusive relationship. So, and the comfort zone looks different for different people, right? Some people, like I said, maybe choose to eat bad foods, right? Because it's more comfortable to do that than it is to sit in a state of like, I don't know, instead of having a cookie, you're eating a carrot, right? It doesn't feel as good. It's not as comfortable, right? You get something good from being in the comfort zone. It feels really good. So, but the problem is, again, that when we stay in our comfort zone, it's not just that we're staying where we are. It's oftentimes that we're harming ourselves without even knowing about it. So I don't want you to think of, we do think of like this warm fuzzy bubble, right? But actually, the comfort zone can be a disservice to you and can harm you, right? It's not just being in this content space where you're just like cozied up, right? No, it actually can create more problems for your life to be in the comfort zone. I'm not saying you always need to be outside of your comfort zone, but change really happens when we step out of the comfort zone. So let's talk a little bit about the subconscious mind and feeling safe, okay? Because it's really like our internal security guard. It's always working to keep us safe and sound. That is the job of your subconscious mind. It is storing all of the experiences, the traumas, the good, the bad, like it's storing everything, right? From the time that we're born to the time that we're about 7 or 8 years old, we are like little subconscious sponges, and everything that comes into our awareness is being stored. And I like to think of it like there is a storage room in your mind and filing cabinets and files and folders and all of these things, right? Whether you are even aware of it or not, it's being housed in that part of your brain. The problem is the subconscious actually loves the comfort zone, right? It interprets familiarity as safety. So how do we get around this? How do we combat it? How do we teach our subconscious mind that growth actually lies beyond the cozy comfort bubble? How are we going to do that? This is really, really important because, we get so used to being comfortable that becomes our norm. And even if something, I want to be really clear about this, because even if something, we say it's the comfort zone, but it might not actually feel all that comfortable to you. Okay, so let me just use an example here that will show kind of the stark difference here and what actually comfort could look like to different people. Because the comfort zone could be, let's say you are really comfortable avoiding confrontation, right? That's comfortable for you because getting into a confrontation with somebody maybe heightens anxiety for you, makes you feel really worried, confused, whatever. I don't know, but you feel comfortable avoiding confrontation, right? So that could be an example of a comfort zone. Another example of a comfort zone could be, let's say that you are used to being neglected. Let's say throughout your life you've been sort of rejected and neglected as a child, even growing up in relationships, and this is kind of a pattern for you. Well, you're going to try to achieve that comfort zone because it's, even though it's uncomfortable, it's not a good feeling, it's familiar, right? So if you get into a new relationship with someone and that person isn't doing those things to you, isn't neglecting you, you might resist continuing in that relationship because it's not familiar. It's not the comfort zone. So you need to really look at the comfort zone as things that you're really familiar with that bring you a sense of safety. So a lot of times people just think, oh, it's a comfort zone because it is comfortable. Well, sometimes the comfort zone is just familiar. It's not actually, for all people, a very comfortable feeling. It just is something you're used to. Okay, so what are we going to do? How are we going to teach our subconscious mind that real growth and real development actually is beyond the cozy bubble, right? We have to get this idea to shift that familiar equals safe, right? Because, if you are walking down a street and you are very familiar with this street, it might feel uncomfortable to go a different way. It might feel unsafe to go a different way because I know this way and I've been this way 100,000 times and I am just going to keep going this one particular way, right? It's going to feel uncomfortable and unsafe because it is unfamiliar to go down that new road. Now, we are going to talk about this because we do need to teach our subconscious about this, and this is going to take practice. So I'm going to come back to that. But I do want to talk about how your comfort zone beliefs are actually driving your behavior. And I've talked about this on a lot of my episodes, so I really want you to remember how important it is that your subconscious beliefs create your emotions. Okay, it goes in this order. Beliefs create emotions, not the other way around. Emotions are the driving force of your behavior. Okay, so oftentimes we are thinking that it's a matter of capability, right? Are we capable of changing our behavior, right? But really, more often than not, it is just unfamiliar territory. It's not that you're not capable of doing these things. It's not that you're incapable of going down that unfamiliar road. It's just that there are beliefs that are creating feelings like fear that would prevent you from going outside of your comfort zone, right? So think of it like this. If you are going down that road and you're familiar with that road and you have the option to go a different route, your brain is going to say, this is comfortable, this is safe, and this is familiar, right? But there are subconscious things that are actually driving the fear of going down the different road. Things like you're going to get lost. You're not going to know what to do when you get there. There's probably going to be a bad guy down that road. There's all kinds of things I don't know about. Things are going to be scary, right? These are the subconscious things that most people aren't aware of, right? So that's why it's really important to tap your subconscious mind, figure out what those things are so that you can start to shift that to help you get out of that comfort zone. Now, I'm not talking about like actual real threats here, right? If you know that going down that unfamiliar road is dangerous because there's crime and there's been, like threats on people, there's a lot of bad things that have happened down that road. Of course, I'm not saying like, oh, you need to go down this road now because it's unfamiliar, get out of your comfort zone and go put yourself in danger. Absolutely not. It's not what I'm saying at all. I'm talking about things that are in your comfort zone that you know on a logical level that you are feeling safe here, but it's not helping you grow. Okay, we're not talking about actual roads. I was using that as an analogy. I'm not telling you to go down an unfamiliar road that is clearly dangerous or going to harm you, right? Your mind is a powerhouse, right? It can adapt, it can change. Your brain is neuroplastic. That means with learning and with like actual practice, you can change it. You can conquer things that you never thought were possible. It's not that you can't do these things. It's not that you can't change behaviors or get out of your comfort zone. It's simply that it's unfamiliar. So remember that. All right, so let's talk next about embracing discomfort. This is big, okay? This is a golden nugget that I want to share with you. Sitting with discomfort is something that I have tried to do. It is so hard to do, okay? It is really hard. But when you can actually push yourself and sit with that discomfort, you will receive major changes. It's really just like a mental workout, right? You've got to stretch yourself. You've got to push yourself a little bit, right? So let's just say I use the example of running a marathon. I ran a half marathon several years ago. One day I just decided, well, first I'd run I started small, obviously. I started running a little bit here and there, never been a runner. And then I ran like a 5K. And then one year I ran like a quarter leg of a race, of a marathon. And then it was like, oh, I'm going to try the half, which is like 13.2 miles, I think. And that's a lot. I mean, for me, that was a ton of miles to run, and I had to prep for it and all of that, right? Well, the comfort zone for me would have been not getting out of bed to go run, would have been not drinking all that water to prepare, right? It would have been choosing to eat something unhealthy over something healthy, right? But my goal was to complete this half marathon. So I had to stretch myself and get out of the comfort of what I actually liked. If I was going to achieve that half marathon, I had to get myself out of the comfort zone, right? So the thing that you can do here, like embracing discomfort, is just sit with it longer than you ever have, okay? So let's talk about this. Like, this is an example that just happened to me the other night. I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching TV, and at nighttime, I typically get like this, I don't know if it's probably habit as well, but after dinner time and after I'm kind of winding down, I'm getting a little hungry, and it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I want something sweet. I want a cookie, I want ice cream, I want something sweet. Well, I'm forced myself to just feel the discomfort of not having it, right? So I'm just sitting there and feeling what it feels like, and actually letting that feeling go through my body of what it feels like to not give in to the urge, okay? Now, I'm not saying you don't ever have to give in to your urges. You absolutely can. I'm saying embrace the discomfort. Actually feel what it feels like to be uncomfortable. And that's a really easy one that you can do, because we all have hunger pains and, different cravings and things like that. So that's one that you can practice really easily. It's like, ooh, I want a sweet, right? Just sit with it and keep feeling it for as long as you can, right? I'm not saying you can't give into eventually, like you can. It's even better if you can be like, okay, well, it's 9:30 at night. Maybe I'll just not have it because I've been sitting with this discomfort so long. And in the morning, I'll just have like a sweet treat with my breakfast, right? So it's just practicing feeling what that discomfort feels like, because, as human beings, we want to eliminate discomfort at any cost, right? We do not want to feel bad. We do not want to experience negative feelings, emotions, physical pain, like any of that. But a lot of times in those areas is where we are going to grow the most. So doing that, then you can reflect on, well, what was it like? And how did I feel? And how long did it take me to avoid that urge? And, what did it feel like to wait till the next morning? And could I do it again, right? There's all these things to help you when you think about it from a mental perspective, right? As you stretch yourself and push yourself outside of the comfort zone, right? Because the comfort would be to go have the cookie or to go fill your bowl of ice cream. That's the comfort. That makes you feel good. And the challenge is to embrace the discomfort. Now, there is something I wanted to mention here about reframing fear to excitement, because the truth is they're hard to distinguish. Fear and excitement are so closely intertwined in the brain that they share the same physiological reaction. So the adrenaline that courses through your body when you're scared is the same as when you're excited. That adrenaline, right? The difference is really in how your mind interprets the experience, right? But not how the body reacts. But for a lot of people, it just feels the same. So this brings me to getting really clear about what could be holding you back from embracing the discomfort, right? So when we're talking about, sitting in that discomfort and using this opportunity to stretch yourself a little bit, how can we reframe fear and excitement, right? Because, and even these words kind of can be unusual, but here's the thing. If you don't know the difference between you feeling afraid and you feeling excited, that poses a problem for you to get out of your comfort zone. So let me just use it as an example of this. So if you are, let's go back to the one I said before, where if you are afraid to get out of your comfort zone because being in a relationship with someone who is not neglectful is creating this like weird feeling inside of you because you're familiar with it, right? You're familiar with people either rejecting you, neglecting you, or whatever. So the pattern for you is to keep finding relationships that are creating that same feeling because that's your comfort zone. That's the feeling that you're trying to achieve. Well, getting out of that comfort zone could create fear, right? Because it's unfamiliar. It's just like that road that you're taking. It's unfamiliar. But what if you were able to reframe this into excitement, okay? Because those two things are so closely intertwined in your brain because of adrenaline. But what if you said, instead of like you're consciously aware at this point, this is your pattern, this is what you do, you get into a relationship, somebody's really present, really nice, really there for you, and then you end up self-sabotaging or, picking fights or whatever because it's unfamiliar and it's not comfortable for you, okay? We're not saying it's good for you, that the comfort zone is like some good feeling. It's actually just familiar to you, right? So what if you could reframe it to think a little bit differently, right? Like, well, how can I feel excited about this opportunity to be with someone who is present with me, who is nurturing, who is there for me? How can I bring more excitement into this relationship instead of leaning on fear? So this takes a little practice because you have to be aware that this is a pattern, right, of behavior for you. So if you're not aware of it, I can help with that because that's where we get into your subconscious mind and figure out what your patterns of behavior are and then kind of bring all that stuff up to the surface. We do that through EFT and tapping, through mind mapping and different things that I have as tools that I use for myself and my clients, right? But once you identify it, then you can go back and say, okay, well, what areas am I in the comfort zone? What is the fear of getting out of the comfort zone? And how can I reframe that into something more like excitement? Where can I find opportunities to be eager for this, to be excited for it to feel like an adventure or something new instead of being afraid, right? Because you can go on a trip and be afraid, or you can go on the trip with an intention of being excited, right? We just have to be able to distinguish the difference, right? If somebody's really afraid to go on a cruise because they're terrified that something terrible is going to happen on the cruise, that's fear, right? But what if that person reframed that to all the amazing, exciting things that could happen while they're on that cruise? right? Instead of dwelling on the fear. Well, that's where the subconscious mind comes in. That's where we have to figure out what are all the things that you're believing on a subconscious level. You may be predicting the future. You may be having all these doubts. You may be having all of these things come up for you that are keeping you in that emotional state of fear. Okay? So embracing discomfort is complex, right? It's not just sitting with something that makes you uncomfortable, but in stretching yourself out of that. But it's also reframing the fear to excitement and finding ways to do that. And I can help you do that because that's what I do all the time. Because they are, again, difficult to distinguish because they're so closely related in your brain. So try picturing your comfort zone as a cozy, well-worn leather sofa, right? Just sink into it. It's just so comfortable, right? But the real adventures happen when you get off the couch, right? It might feel really good, and you can come back to that comfort zone sometimes too. But the real adventures and the excitement that you can bring in happen when you get off the couch into an uncertain but no less exhilarating path forward. All right. So another thing I wanted to mention here is procrastination and excuses. Procrastination is the comfort zone's best friend, BFF. It loves to keep us stagnant, right? And I hate being stagnant. I hate it. I hate it more than anything. So let's be aware of the excuses that we make to stay comfortable. So here's a good question for you. What would an excuse detector say to you? Okay. So I'm talking about like, if you have somebody in your life who, or maybe you don't, but I mean, I can be the excuse detector for you. What would somebody say to you if they were looking for all the excuses that you would make, right? I can't get off the couch because of this, and I don't have time, and it's never going to work anyway, and every time I try, I fail, right? What would the excuse detector say to you? That's an excuse. That's an excuse. Oh, you made an excuse again. Oh, there's another one. What are they saying to you? Find the excuses for yourself. You have to be your own excuse detector. Now, maybe you have people in your life who will say, oh, you're making excuses, right? Like my daughter, she procrastinates and she puts things off to the very last second, right? And I'm like, you had time earlier today while you were playing on your phone for 2 hours when she's like, I didn't have time to do it, right? I'm the one finding the excuses. I'm the excuse detector for her, right? So put these things on paper, right? What are your excuses? Maybe write them all down. Write down all of the reasons that you didn't do it. Write down all the things that you just want to just list out. I couldn't do it because of this, and I was tired, and I had a long day, and all these things happened, and then I got sidetracked, and right? Find the BS. Find it. Nobody's going to do it for you, right? So you put that stuff on paper, and then you actually see those excuses and then combat them. Say, actually, that was just an excuse. Let's take accountability here, right? Because procrastination is the comfort zone's absolute best friend. Put it off, don't do it, don't get off the couch, don't do the journal entries, don't do the meditation. You're too tired, all these things are happening, you're never gonna do it, make it anyway, right? This is the kind of thing that will keep you stuck. This is the kind of thing that will keep you stagnant. Now, the really helpful piece about this isn't just finding the excuses and then like checking them off or like kicking them out. It's actually getting to your subconscious mind, because people who want to stay in their comfort zone, people who procrastinate to stay in the comfort zone, aren't doing it on purpose. They're doing it because they're programmed in such a way that their brain is creating an emotion, which is then driving the procrastination behavior. Again, so this always comes back to the subconscious mind. So if you're not aware of what's going on inside your subconscious mind, that's the first place to begin. Okay, so earlier I told you I was going to teach you how to teach your subconscious mind to move beyond this, bubble, this cozy bubble. Like we got to teach our subconscious that growth goes beyond the subconscious level. Before I do that, I just wanted to remind you that I have 2 options to help you if you want to get out of the comfort zone. If you find yourself stagnant, stuck, can't move forward, but you have these big dreams and you have things that you want to do and relationships that you want to improve, that's where I come in. So I have a one-on-one breakthrough vision strategy session. That strategy session is a 2-hour intensive that I work with you one-on-one on a Zoom call to help you uncover your blocks and resistance, figure out what your subconscious beliefs are, and map out a plan to help you move forward. Again, it's 2 hours. I'm not going to be selling you anything on this call. It is specifically for you, and your time is valuable to me, and my time is valuable to you, and I want you to get the greatest results. After we go through this, in it too, you're also going to get a human design reading. I'm going to teach you some subconscious tools and tapping techniques. But after that, right, for a whole week after that, I offer you one-on-one Voxer support. So you can voice note me, message me anytime for an entire week. If you're like, oh, this came up, or I'm thinking about this, or what do I do here, or what should I tap on this particular belief, or like whatever, right? I'm going to help you with that for a full week afterwards. That investment is $450 for those 2 hours, and you can sign up for that in the show notes. Now, the other option that I offer is I have a 12-week program. This is a one-on-one where you get 60 minutes every week with me on a Zoom call for 12 weeks. The full investment of this program is $3,200, or you can opt in for the monthly payment plan, which is 3 payments of $1,200. Now, if you do the Breakthrough Vision strategy session with me, the $450 2-hour and 1-week Voxer, then that actually gets taken off of your 12-week program investment. So if you decide to do the $450 option for the 2 hours, then when you sign up for later, like if you decide you want to do the one-on-one 12-week program, that $450 gets deducted from that. And you're not losing anything. You're actually just getting a $450 head start, basically. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can message me, or you can just go to my website at whentearsleavescars.com and look at all the information that I have out there for that. All right, so let's talk about this getting out of the comfort zone, teaching your subconscious that growth actually lies beyond the cozy bubble. So I want to give you 3 steps that you can take in order to start to do this. The first thing is, and I know you guys have heard me say this, affirmations do not work if you're not speaking the language of the subconscious mind. The language of the subconscious mind is in analogies, it's in stories, it's in images. That's how your subconscious mind sees and learns. Not in language, not in numbers, not at all. That's your conscious mind, which is only running 5% of the show. We need to work in the subconscious, which is running 95% of the show. Okay. So what you can do is you can begin your day with an affirmation that actually speaks to the subconscious mind to reinforce your ability to be able to get out of your comfort zone. So here's what I mean by this. If you are, let's say you want to start with something really small, and you are trying to exercise more, and spring is coming up and the weather's getting nicer, and you're like, I'm going to start going for a walk. But when I get up in the morning, I get my coffee, and I'm just a little tired and I don't really have a lot of energy, and then you just stay in that comfort zone and you don't go do your walk. Well, what I would love for you to do is show your subconscious mind a time when you were able to get out of your comfort zone already. Okay, and I'm not talking about just telling your brain. I'm not talking about just general words like, yeah, I've done uncomfortable things before, right? Your brain will not actually understand that. It will not understand if you say, I can step out of my comfort zone and achieve my goals. I can do hard things. I can, do things I've never done before. No, your brain will not get it. It will not. Those are general affirmations, and yes, positive affirmations and positive thinking is wonderful. Like, I'm not saying it's not good, but it actually doesn't help you. It doesn't help you. I have another podcast episode on my premium podcast, if you want to listen to it, how positive affirmations actually don't work if you're not doing them the right way. So what you really want to do is use the language of the subconscious mind and show your brain examples of how you've actually done this before. Okay? So when was a time you stepped out of your comfort zone? And actually paint the picture and remember all the details, right? So I would use the example of me stepping outside of my comfort zone to run the half marathon. And I'm going to remember signing up for the half marathon. I'm going to remember paying for it. I'm going to remember searching for the shoes that I knew I was going to need to start training, how much water I was logging and tracking every single day, planning out my week so that I could make sure that I, ran a little bit on Monday and then a little bit more on Tuesday and then on Thursday and then rest on Friday and, all of the things, right? Like I'm actually remembering where I was at on the road and my feet hitting the pavement and crushing an acorn or whatever, right? Showing your mind the details is really what speaks to the subconscious mind. And then the subconscious mind goes, oh yeah, you are capable because you've done it before and here's the proof, right? You've done things outside of your comfort zone. So, begin your day with a visualization of that, right? Of the details and the imagery and the memory of a time when you actually did step out of your comfort zone. Okay, so that's number one. It's not really affirmations, but it's just affirmations that prove that you are capable. Okay. The next thing that you can do is do really small daily challenges, right? Intentionally engage in one act of discomfort every day, okay? So let's say an easy one could be, let's say that you are somebody who sets multiple alarms in the morning, right? You set your alarm and then it goes off and then you hit snooze and it goes off and it hits snooze. And for 30 minutes, you're snoozing, you're hitting snooze for 30 minutes. Well, a very uncomfortable thing for you might be to just get up after the first one, right? That's uncomfortable. You have a choice, but you don't really want to do it because it's not as comfortable as just laying there and hitting snooze and then closing your eyes and sort of rolling back over, right? It's uncomfortable. Choose, or maybe instead of hitting snooze 10 times, you only hit it 5. It's still uncomfortable, right? So start wherever you feel like it could be helpful to you. Okay, I'm just using this as an example. You're going to be the one that knows what's actually creating the discomfort for you, and then embrace it. So intentionally try one thing that causes you to feel and embrace that discomfort each day. Once you do this, you're going to start developing a habit, right? For me, here's one that I have worked on for a really long time is just taking accountability for things without making excuses, right? And that's so uncomfortable for me. Like, oh my gosh, it happened the other day with an issue with me and my boyfriend, and it was totally my fault. And I knew it, and we weren't in the same room. So we weren't even in the same house. I was texting him and I kept thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable with this. I'm just going to sit with it. I'm just going to sit with it and sit with it and sit with it. And because the discomfort was for me to take accountability and for me not to make any excuses at all. And I just sat with it and sat with it and sat with it. And finally, I just sent a text back and I was like, this is totally my fault. I definitely screwed this up. I need to do this, and this next time, right? Like I knew and I was aware, because the comfortable thing would have been for me to say, well, I did it because of this and this happened and blah, 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 like all the excuses. So practice getting outside of your comfort zone and embracing the discomfort in your day, okay? Could be trying a new food. It could be taking a different route to work. Like whatever creates discomfort on any level for you that you feel like okay with, like it's pushing me a little bit out of my zone, but I'm not like super like freaked out about it. Like I'm not asking you to do something major or like earth shattering. No, it's just something small, okay? As you do this more and more, you can gradually increase the difficulty of these challenges, and then you'll become more comfortable in the discomfort. Okay, the third thing that you can do, and this sort of ties into the first one, is really just spend a few minutes of your day visualizing your goals and the positive outcomes of stepping outside of your comfort zone. This also has to do with the fear and excitement. What's the word I'm trying to think of? The distinguishing factors between fear and excitement, right? So when you are actually looking for the exciting things and visualize what could be good, what could be exciting, what could be fun, what could be adventurous instead of the fear, this is going to help you a lot because you're going to be able to envision the good stuff, the senses of accomplishment, personal growth, all these things associated with overcoming these challenges. And it's going to get your brain into the habit of looking at things in a different way instead of constantly being on that habitual train track of like, this is scary, like coming out of the comfort zone is scary. What parts of it could be exciting, fun, adventurous, good, positive, right? And kind of just practicing doing that, maybe once at night or when you're in the shower, just give yourself a little bit of practice to visualize the goals and the positive outcomes that could come from stepping out of your comfort zone, right? Because if you're always looking at it in a negative way and you're always thinking of it as something bad, it's going to be harder to get out of the comfort zone, right? Because that fear is coming up and that's going to be what's driving your behavior to stay stagnant, to stay in that cozy couch and never get up, right? In the analogy of the comfort zone, okay? So, these steps can really help create a mindset shift over time, okay? This is not going to happen overnight, but you're just nudging your subconscious to really recognize and embrace these benefits of growth beyond the comfort zone. And this is how, when I said, like, how do we teach our subconscious mind to do this? Well, we have to do it with practice. We have to take these action steps, put them into place, and then start to make the changes in our neuroplastic brain. So as you become more and more accustomed to these things, you'll just eventually start to incorporate more things, and then getting out of the comfort zone will be sort of like second nature. It's going to be a lot easier, just like anything, right? You ride a bike, the first time you get on, you're scared. You do it more and more and more. Before you know it, you're riding bikes, and it's like second nature. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. It's how your brain learns, and it's how you become a better version of you. Just as a quick recap, important to understand that the subconscious really wants you to feel safe. That's its goal. And that your beliefs are driving your behaviors. And when you're in that comfort zone, then that is actually your mind just trying to keep you safe, and then create behaviors that reinforce that. Remember, I talked about embracing discomfort and how important that really is. And then we mentioned the procrastination and excuses and how that's going to be the best friend of your comfort zone. It's going to want to keep you stagnant and keep you stuck. So that's not going to help you become a better you. And there's lots of ways that we can get through the procrastination and excuses, and I help with that. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope these tips and this information has been valuable. But just remember that breaking free from the comfort zone is a journey that's worth taking, okay? Give yourself a shot. Give it a chance, right? It is going to be scary in the beginning, but over time it becomes second nature, and it will become just like riding a bike. So as we wrap up, I really want to challenge you to identify your comfort zones. Identify the excuses and the procrastination areas that are holding you back. Confront these things and watch yourself grow into the amazing person that you were designed and meant to be. So the magic happens outside the comfort zone. If you want my support and help working through this to be the best version of you that you can, check out the links in the show notes, and you can apply for a consultation with me, or you can sign up for the Breakthrough Vision Strategy session. Just know that I am here to support you, and I'd be happy to be your guide. So thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review and share it with someone else who really might need a gentle push out of their comfort zone. This can help everyone as we are creating a ripple effect throughout the world, right? Bringing this stuff to people's awareness and helping everybody is my goal. So this is Allison K. Dagney signing off. stay amazing, stay brave, stay bold, and always be a better you. Talk to you next week.